Night falls early in the Philippines. This is the Agusan Marsh, home to thousands of crocodiles. Nighttime hunters that share the marsh with people. Two young girls are on their way home from school. They have no reason to be scared. There's never been trouble with crocodiles. Until now. Only one girl survives.
Hindi mabuti. Noong unang araw,
we used to see them, but they didn't attack anybody.
Hindi kanya.
Attacking people, that's recent.
Ngayon lang yung nangyari na mayroong inatake.
Something has changed in the Agusan Marsh. A crocodile has gone rogue. And those who've lived to tell the tale say it's an absolute giant. A 6-meter monster, unlike anything ever seen in the swamp before. And they want it caught. And just 5 kilometers from where the girls were attacked, villagers catch a massive crocodile. They hope it's the killer. All night long, they struggle to haul it back to the village. It's alive. And it still wants to fight. It's clearly an exceptional animal. But the real question is, have they just caught the largest croc on record? And will that finally bring an end to 2 years of terror? The Agusan Marsh lies on the island of Mindanao in the southern Philippines. It's an almost pristine wetland the size of the city of Chicago. At the southern end lies Lake Mihaba. The enormous network of lakes, rivers, and marshland is an ideal habitat for crocodiles. People live here for the same reason as the crocs. The fishing is good. Some build their houses floating right on the water. Others live in stilt houses dotted around the marsh. In the rainy season, the water level can rise by 4 meters. It seems idyllic, but something strange has happened. For 2 years, this water has brought misery and terror. A massive crocodile stalked the villagers. It ripped their precious water buffalo to shreds before their eyes. Attacked one fisherman and his son. And snatched another man from his boat to eat him alive. But it all started with the attack on the schoolgirls on Lake Mihaba, in the heart of the marsh. It's 6 o'clock, already nightfall. 11-year-old Marina Ruiz and her friend Echel Rodrigo are heading home from school. Fisherman Roy Dagas follows right behind. None of them knows that they're being watched by a crocodile about to start a killing spree. Sitting up front, Rowena never sees it coming. Roy saves Etchel from what looks like a monstrous crocodile. But Rowena is decapitated.
Seeing her head in the crocodile's mouth was disgusting. Later on, we found her body covered with banana leaves. It was really smelling bad.
Rowena's dugout canoe still bears the scars of the attack.
This is Rowena's boat, and these are the bite marks left by the crocodile. Here, here, and here.
What kind of monster can bite through solid wood? The culprit is a saltwater crocodile, or salty. They're the largest of all living crocodilians, typically reaching 4 to 5.5 meters. Salties prefer freshwater, but can live in the sea because they're able to excrete salt through special glands. They've spread thousands of kilometers across the ocean to colonize lands from India to Australia. Salties have been hunted to the brink of extinction in much of Southeast Asia for their fashionable and highly sought-after hides. They also have the strongest bite of any animal. The Agusan Marsh is one of the last strongholds of salties in the Philippines. Since 1994, the crocodiles here are fully protected. Killing one could land you 12 years in prison. The tables have turned. Now the people are being hunted. Roy Dagas is badly shaken by the attack.
I was afraid that Rowena's parents would blame me for her death and kill me, since I was the one who picked her up.
With a rogue crocodile in their midst, no one feels safe. But they have nowhere else to go. 70% of the people here make their living by fishing.
We wouldn't get any work in town because my husband is a fisherman. So we have to stay here in the Agusan Marsh. We have no choice but to stay here.
The people who live in the marsh are mostly an ethnic minority known as the Manobo. They live a mostly traditional lifestyle in one of the poorest areas of the Philippines, completely dependent on the marsh for their livelihood. After years of peaceful coexistence, people here suddenly live in fear of crocodiles.
We stay inside most of the time because we are scared. We only go outside when Roy is around.
We used to see them, but they didn't attack anybody. Attacking people, that's reason.
Because the crocodiles are strictly protected, the villagers can't hunt the croc down until the government issues a permit. Meanwhile, children go to school, and the men still have to go out fishing to feed their families. Roy's brother, Reynaldo Dagas, is fishing with his son at their favorite spot in the marsh, right in the beast's lair. Fishing from the low-sided canoe, they're sitting ducks when the monster croc attacks. The pair fights back.
I hit it on the side of its head with my paddle. Then it bit the side of the boat. It was very close.
They bolt to the bank for safety. Reynaldo cheats death, one of the few who live to tell the tale.
I thank the Lord for saving me that night, or I would have been dead meat.
Just downriver from Lake Mihaba lies the village of San Marcos, population 1,075. The village has no electricity or running water. It's the main base for the Manobo, including people who live in floating houses and retreat here in the rainy season. Rudy Ayala is the chieftain of this area.
Ang pinakadako nga hulga sa buaya.
The biggest threat to crocodiles here is the growing number of people moving into the crocodiles' territory, competing with them for food and space.
Competition for fish in the lake could be causing the big croc to seek out new food. In San Marcos, it's found a ready supply. The people throw their garbage, including animal carcasses, in the water. The crocodile has been spotted in the river that runs through the village. Rudy lays down the law. The advice is simple. Don't lure the crocodile into the village with easy meals. It seems to work. There are no further attacks near San Marcos. Instead, the crocodile sets off in a different direction. It's been spotted 5 kilometers south of Lake Mihaba, and it's about to kill again. Nueva Era is a remote village set back from the marsh. The small stream that flows through it is the sole source of water for 1,300 residents. A 15-meter wooden bridge is the only safe crossing, especially now that the croc is in their creek. It's a long way from home, having swum through a network of rivers and creeks to reach the village from Lake Mihaba. Local farmer Daniel Oxtero has already worked a full day on the land. After dinner, he has to go out fishing, working a double shift to feed a wife and 7 children. He doesn't go far. Fishing near the bridge, he's within earshot of his younger sister. Daisy's house overlooks the creek.
Even though it was dangerous to be on the creek at night, Daniel had to go fishing so he could buy rice the next day and feed his family.
Without knowing it, Daisy hears her brother's final moments.
The night that Daniel disappeared, at about 9 p.m., it was dead quiet in the village. I felt like I was the only one awake. Then the dog started to bark angrily.
Mga tahol ng aso, parang galit na galit ang mga aso.
And then I heard splashes in the water, very loud splashes.
Malapit sa ilog namin na napakalakas na palo. Papunta na ako.
I was terrified, so I went to bed.
Natakot. At kinaumagahan,
the next morning, one of our relatives came to tell me that Daniel had gone missing.
Daniel na hindi nakauwi.
Despite repeated attempts to find his body, all that was ever found of Daniel was his boat and his hat.
This picture is the only memory we have of Daniel, because just before he was killed, his house burned down and everything he owned was destroyed.
Kanyang balay ni Daniel, nagamay taghuat madako.
This was Daniel's house, but it burnt down. He was building another one when he went missing.
Daniel's family lost a provider and a much-loved father and son.
Of course I miss him. He's my son. Perhaps it was fate. He was a fisherman, and maybe this is a fisherman's fate.
The fate of Daniel's killer is also sealed. The government in Manila has finally issued a permit to hunt down the rogue crocodile, as long as it's taken alive. there's only one man for the job. Croc legend Ronnie Sumiller has been hunting nuisance crocodiles for 20 years. This will be his most dangerous mission yet. Members of Daniel's family are eager to show Ronnie to where the attack happened.
I really want them to catch that crocodile because I want to see if it ate my brother.
I am scared of the big crocodile.
We're especially afraid for the children. There are lots of children here.
The children don't swim here anymore, but they're in great danger anytime they come close to the creek. The water's edge is a favorite hunting ground for crocodiles. They're ambush predators. It's a strategy honed over millions of years. By lowering their heart rate to 2 beats per minute, they can stay submerged for an hour without breathing, waiting for prey to stray into the strike zone. The attack is sudden and fast. Death can be slow. Crocodile teeth are not for chewing. They're for holding the prey, while the croc uses brute strength to rip it to pieces. They spin to tear off chunks from large prey, the infamous death roll. Smaller prey is shaken to pieces. Ronnie's plan is to use the croc's own preferred hunting strategy to capture it. A morsel of chicken suspended just above the water is an irresistible lure.
So that's the principle. When it is grabbed by the crocodile, the crocodile will run away and this will close down. This will catch the upper jaw.
In Ronnie's experience, a snare is least likely to injure a crocodile.
This is a hard job because you have to make sure that it's we have to capture it alive.
Ronnie posts a sentry in a nearby treehouse. Now, it's a waiting game. In the morning, the bait is gone and the trap is torn. A crocodile has done the impossible, snapped the steel cable, and escaped.
The cable snapped. I think we're dealing with a much bigger crocodile than we expected.
Ronnie sets more traps. For the villagers, it's a terrifying wait. They find trap after trap in shreds. The croc must be huge. 3 weeks later, a trap finally holds. This time, they've got it. Several dozen men strain in a tug-of-war with a powerful crocodile on the end of their line. The beast is so heavy and so powerful that it takes several hours to haul it in. It's clearly no ordinary crocodile. But it's only when they finally land it that they realize exactly what they're up against. It's immense.
This show was created for you and your family to watch together. Welcome to Nat Geo Wild.
60 people work all night to drag the beast 1.5 kilometers back to the village. It's over a ton of muscle, power, and killer instinct. As word spreads that they've caught the killer, more and more jubilant onlookers flock to the creek. Everyone wants to get close to the enormous animal now that he's tied down. There's plenty of fight left in the croc. For a moment, everyone's heart stands still. The ropes only just hold. But the hard part is yet to come. They have to transport the enormous reptile 11 kilometers to a purpose-built tourist park at Consuelo, near the main road. The problem is, the road to the park is on the other side of the creek. And the only bridge is far too rickety and narrow. They have to transfer the killer crocodile to a makeshift pontoon and float him across. Finally, after they struggle for 24 hours, victory. The party goes on deep into the night. Morning finds the monster the star attraction at the Echo Park. Its pond was initially going to be a swimming pool for children. It's clearly a male. He weighs more than 1,040 kilos. Female salties rarely exceed 160 kilos and grow no more than 4 meters. This guy looks to be over 6. They call him Lolong. Lolong could get them into the Guinness Book of Records. They finally get a good look at him, but the villagers have second thoughts about whether this is the killer croc.
That's not the right one, is it?
No, it's too small.
In the cold light of day, they say that no matter how big he is, he's just too small to be the killer. Roy Dagas, who was with Rowena when she died, is certain that this is not the croc he saw that night. It's too late to prove Lolong killed Rowena 2 years ago. But Daniel Oxtero has only been missing a few months. Could his remains still be inside Lolong's stomach? Crocodiles swallow large chunks of prey, bones and all, without chewing. They have the strongest stomach acid of any animal. Flesh will be dissolved in days, bones in a matter of weeks. But they can't digest anything made of keratin. So horns or human hair and fingernails can remain inside the croc for months. It's a long shot, but the people are desperate for answers. They can't slice him open. The next best thing is to pump his stomach. As soon as news of the capture breaks, Ronnie rushes back to the village to look for proof. He inserts a length of plastic tube down the croc's gullet. Then he pours bucket after bucket of water into him until the croc vomits violently. Ronnie doesn't find any human remains. The stomach pumping is inconclusive. It's possible they didn't get everything out, or that Lolong had coughed up a hairball before they caught him. It's also possible that another giant crocodile killed Daniel, and that it's still out there. Life is returning to normal on the island of Mindanao, but it's not safe to go back in the water. Giant crocodile sightings continue even after the capture of the monster croc Lolong. Ronnie Sumiller is called back for duty.
I am going back to capture the big crocodile, bigger than Lolong, because the villagers are endangered.
Lolong could have taken to the creeks because a more aggressive male chased him out of the lake. It's a frightening prospect. The first place to look is Lake Mihaba in the heart of the marsh. Agusan's crocs are notoriously shy, so the best chance of finding it is at night.
We are going to Lake Mihaba to spotlight and hopefully to see large crocodiles.
With a local guide, he ventures into the crocodile's world at the most dangerous time. Every attack so far has occurred at night.
It's dangerous to do this in this lake because of the presence of the large crocodile. But using flashlight, normally they will not attack.
They're not alone. There are hundreds of crocodiles all around them. One of them could be the giant killer.
In this lake, it could be 2 or 3 large crocodiles. Could be as large as Lolong, maybe 20 feet.
They see lots of smaller crocs. Ronnie spots a likely suspect. Or it could just be the light playing tricks.
This is the area where Rowena was attacked by the crocodile. So the boat was capsized.
They don't want to be the next victims, so Ronnie calls it a night. Then he gets another break in the case. Near Nueva Era, he hears of a rare sighting of a giant crocodile in broad daylight. He misses it by only hours.
Hello. Hello. Did you see a crocodile over here?
Yes, at about 11 o'clock.
So, this is where its head was positioned?
Yes, with its shoulders over here.
How big do you estimate its head was?
It was huge, and he had his mouth open like this.
With a stick, Ronnie measures where the head was, so he can estimate the croc's total length.
I've never seen a crocodile like this. This is almost 40 feet, I should say. It's really a huge crocodile.
Even for a skeptic, it's scary to imagine the croc that hauled out here. Then Ronnie discovers that this is not the first time that someone has reported a 12-meter croc around Nueva Era. A few months ago, Javar Abdul saw a colossal crocodile take down his prize water buffalo, or carabao. Imagine the croc that could take down one of these. A fully grown carabao weighs almost 500 kilos. Losing an animal like this is like losing a tractor.
They are our livelihood. We use them to plow the fields and to haul logs. It was a huge loss for me because it was the only carabao I had.
The monster dragged the massive carabao downstream, but got stuck under the bridge, so Javar got a good look at the culprit.
So why couldn't the croc pull the carabao under the bridge?
The water level was too high, so the legs of the bridge were blocking it.
And how many crocodiles were there?
2.
2? Were they different sizes?
Yes, a big one and a smaller one.
Then he drops a bombshell. The smaller one was Lolong.
How big do you estimate the big one was?
I estimate more or less from that point over there to the far side of the bridge.
Okay, let's measure that.
Instead of one giant croc chasing another out of Lake Mihaba, it seems 2 giant crocs were feeding together. And the second one was even bigger than Lolong.
Wow! 12 meters, ang taas. Oh, dako gyud nga buhaya kay 12 meters man.
Ronnie now has 2 sightings of a croc even larger than Lolong, the one they captured. And no incriminating material in Lolong's stomach. So another croc could be responsible. Good news. An expert is on his way to measure Lolong and see if he's a contender for the world's largest croc. Dr. Adam Britton is the go-to guy for crocodiles for the Guinness Book of World Records. He certified the current record holder only a few months ago. At 5.5 meters, Australia's Cassius Clay is the world's largest captive crocodile. Lolong could be bigger. Nothing can prepare Adam for what he's about to see.
Here we go, Adam. Let's
So
see
this
Lolong.
is Lolong.
Yep.
Oh my God. Oh, he's absolutely huge.
That's Lolong.
It's
huh?
incredible.
Yeah. So really huge.
I think he's the biggest crocodile I've ever seen.
Yeah.
To qualify for the Guinness record, Adam has to ensure Lolong lies perfectly flat and dead straight. So how do you measure a giant man-eater?
It would be good to do it actually down the crocodile's back.
Very carefully.
2 different drugs. One is a muscle relaxant, and the other one is Valium. So he'll actually, hopefully, be quite happy while we're measuring him.
While he's under, Lolong is in danger of overheating, so he must be constantly hosed down. Adam has never sedated a crocodile this big before, and he's not sure how long it will take.
But it's a large crocodile, and it's going to take a long time. Relative to how long it normally takes, it's going to take a long time for this drug to actually take effect.
First, he has to get the needle into the monster croc. Adam gets dangerously close to the largest salty he's ever seen.
So yeah, Ronnie, if you can keep a close eye on him.
Yep.
You see, he's got his left legs backwards, so he's still quite relaxed. But look for any signs like he starts to lift himself up or starts to move his head.
This is now in a relaxed position.
That's he's in a relaxed position right now. Yes, I can get out of the way quite easily, and I'm going to go that way if anything happens.
Adam has nerves of steel, but Lolong reminds him who's the boss.
He felt that. He's got some really powerful muscles that run down his tail, and this is intramuscular. So I'm just gonna go between the scales here. You see, this skin is so soft, it'll just go straight in. If I were to try and get it through there, it's actually quite tough. Okay.
Up. Okay.
It's like a big mosquito. Wow, even that bent the needle. That was simply because he moved his tail. So the power of the muscles in the tail bent the needle while it was inside.
30 minutes later, Lolong is still showing no signs of feeling sleepy.
It's actually good. Every time he swings like this, then his blood is pumping. And the sedative that we put in will take effect more quickly.
Okay.
The sedatives are still showing very little effect. But Adam has drugged Lolong as much as he dares. Too much could kill him. They're going to have to shut those massive jaws by force.
We have to remember that this crocodile is huge, is enormously heavy, very powerful.
Adam can't do it alone. He's going to need some help.
We're going to use 6 people for this procedure. He's going to have, by the time we've finished here, he's going to have 2 ropes on his jaws. So one person on either side of his head is going to hold those ropes nice and tight. Then I'm going to jump on the back of his neck and push his head down. This is after I put a towel on his eyes. I'm going to get one person then behind me to help me keep weight on his chest, and then 2 more people on his back legs. And we're going to lift his legs up off the ground so that he doesn't have any leverage with those legs. And he's still going to be stronger than us, really. I mean, he's huge, incredibly powerful, strong crocodile. But it's amazing, when you get on the back of the head, particularly, and you cover the eyes and you put pressure down there, they often give up. They'll just sit there and say, okay, do what you need to do. Fingers crossed, anyway.
Ronnie rounds up 5 volunteers. They have to get in the pen with the giant crocodile and sit right on his back.
Okay, let's go and test him first and see if that drug is taking any more effect. Yeah, just poke him, just touch him gently there. You see the way he tried to flick his head then? He's definitely lost some of his strength.
They place towels over Lolong's eyes to help keep him calm.
Okay. Holy mackerel. Okay, quick, grab his legs. Now we need someone. Okay, everyone on, someone with the tape now to tape his jaws. Then it sticks to itself. One more, that's good. Okay, break him off.
Scientists know very little about giant crocodiles.
Also, I'll take one off.
This is the first time anyone's been able to measure a living croc over 6 meters.
Okay, is everyone good?
Yep.
Okay, good job. I mean, I'm so used to doing this, but everything's scaled up. It's amazing. It's like measuring a dinosaur. It's just, it's amazing. I'm not used to this. 84.
84, what was the name?
84, that's the interorbital. Okay.
Adam takes this rare chance to make detailed measurements.
255, it's actually 496. What do you say? 450?
Finally,
yeah, okay, 450,
the one
exactly.
everyone's waiting for.
Now for the moment of truth.
Dr. Adam Britton is going to measure snout to tip along the curve of Lolong's body.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yep. All right, just make sure this goes straight down the middle again. This is the one that has to be. Can I get someone to hold this? 6170.
6170.
Which is the largest saltwater crocodile in the world.
6170.
In fact, that's the largest crocodile in the world, full stop. 6170.
Lolong is 6.17 meters long, the largest known living crocodile, by more than a half a meter. Time for a photo opportunity as Adam declares a new Guinness World Record.
The official size of Lolong is 6.17 meters. I'll give him a round of applause for that. That's very impressive.
How did Lolong get so big? Adam thinks he was born to it, and that he could have big brothers with the same giant crocodile DNA. As with humans, nurture is just as important as nature. Crocs grow most when they're young, but any stress inhibits growth. Only 1 or 2 siblings in a clutch reach their full potential. In his formative years, Lolong must have had plenty of food and few competitors. There were also far fewer people in the marsh to stress him out with their outboards and dynamite. Adam has what he's come for, but getting off again is almost as hard.
Everyone from the back will go backwards, all the way backwards, straight off. You last?
Yes, yes.
And then I will come off and I will take the towel off. So what you need to do now is cut this rope, cut this tape, sorry. Everyone ready to go back?
Go,
go, go, go. Backwards. Keep going.
Let's go.
Keep going. You too.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can...
While Lolong is still a bit groggy, Adam can't resist the temptation to get his first really close look at the business end of a 6-meter croc. This is probably the most powerful set of jaws in the world, with teeth that'll make a meal of anything unfortunate enough to get too close.
One thing that's interesting with these big crocs is the size and the shape of the head varies a lot. Lolong's is quite wide, so it's actually very interesting. He's got all these incredible gnarly ridges all the way down the front of his snout. But you look at his head and it's so flat and wide. Oh, and now he's opening his eyes to look at me. So, well, if he's looking at me, I'm going to move a little bit further out of range. So a saltwater crocodile has got the strongest bite of any animal, without question, and particularly Lolong. I mean, this will be, if we were to measure this bite, he would be the strongest that had ever been measured. It's quite amazing. But if you're going to have such an incredibly strong bite, then the jaws have got to be strong enough so that they don't splinter when you bite down on something like a turtle.
The ridge pride's territory. Right now, it looks peaceful enough, but believe me, it can be a death trap. I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. Lions hardly ever attack crocodiles. In fact, normally they give each other a wide berth. With these lions, almost anything can happen. The message is...
The shape of the crocodile's head is really designed to give it that strength so that it's reinforced. So if he bit down on something, then it's not going to escape. Which reminds me, I better step back before I actually test this myself.
Lolong is now officially the world's largest crocodile. His newfound fame is a massive boon to the community's tiny economy. In just the first few months, he brings in over $11,000 from tourists. There's a thriving cottage industry of Lolong-related goods. Their once mortal enemy has become a source of pride. However, there is still no proof that Lolong killed anyone. The attacks probably started because more and more people are moving into the crocodile's territory. And crocs are smart. Once they're onto an easy meal ticket, they'll keep coming back. There have been no more deaths since Lolong's capture. Still, the rumors of another giant croc won't go away. And after Adam and Ronnie go home, the people of the Agusan Marsh will still be living with thousands of crocs just meters from their houses. They've caught the world's largest crocodile, and they have a pen ready for his bigger brother. No matter what the experts say, the people believe that the real killer is still out there.
Particularly were very nervous. They would approach the mud hole only to turn and run away in great fright. I could see there were no lions about and asked the guide why they didn't drink. His answer, and this is the lesson, was crocodiles. I knew he must be joking and asked him seriously, what is the problem? The answer again, crocodiles. Nonsense, I said. There are no crocodiles out there. Anyone can see that. He could tell I did not believe him and determined, I suppose, to teach me a lesson. We drove to another location. There, he said, see for yourself. I couldn't see anything except the mud and little water. Then, all at once, I saw it. A large crocodile settled in the mud, waiting for some unsuspecting animal to get thirsty enough to come and drink. There are crocodiles all over the park, he said, not just in the rivers. We don't have any water without a crocodile somewhere near it, and you'd better count on it.
Hi, I'm Chris Morgan, and this is the third and final chapter of Bears of the Last Frontier, a grand adventure across Alaska. I'm a bear ecologist, and with filmmaker Joe Pontecorvo, I've set out on a quest to understand Alaska's bears. That's especially hard to do where we're going next. High inside the Arctic Circle, to the northernmost point in the United States. The bear has come right down this trail here. They're testing the ice conditions to see if it's firm enough, and it's not yet. Hey, bear. She's got her nose in the air and she can catch my scent. She's moving over here with some determination. I think it's time to get in the boat. Unbelievable. My heart is just pounding from the experience. These are the bears of the last frontier. So put on a parka and follow us to the Arctic, the final frontier of our journey. In every culture they've encountered, bears have left an indelible impression on us. Symbols of wisdom, strength, and cunning. Yet despite their powerful presence, 6 of the 8 bear species are threatened with extinction. Alaska is one of the bear's last strongholds. All 3 species of North American bears are found here. Brown bears, black bears, and polar bears. My name is Chris Morgan. I've dedicated half my life to the study and conservation of bears. Now I've embarked upon a 3,000-mile journey into the heart of the bear's world. With me, my good friend and filmmaker, Joe Pontecorvo.
You don't notice it's cold until you look at your equipment, and then you see frost over everything.
Together, our goal is to peel back the layers of myth and misunderstanding on this complex creature.
See that glance? That put us in our place, didn't it?
To better understand their personalities.
All our theories out the window.
To witness firsthand how they live today. And what the future might hold for the bears of the last frontier. My journey has taken me through the season of the brown bear and black bear, from an area nearly untouched by man to the most urban environment in Alaska. Now, at the very edge of the North American continent, a new adventure is about to unfold. I'll leave behind the cold metal and steel of Prudhoe Bay and head to the home of the polar bear. My plane touches down on a 4-mile-long windswept strip of land known as Barter Island, on the edge of the Beaufort Sea. Fewer than 300 residents, mostly Inupiat Eskimo, call this remote island home. But they are not alone. They share this frigid coastline with another great hunter, the polar bear. While the rest of the bears have denned up for winter, polar bears sense the change in season and are anxious for the chill to set in. Polar bears are ice-loving creatures, and from an early age they are drawn to it, investigating any new formations on the water. What's fascinating to me about these polar bears is that they're so finely tuned and adapted to life on ice. This looks like a bear has come right down this trail here, and he's broken through here. Look, his paw has actually broken through this ice here. In fact, the ice has started to form already, so they're forever testing the ice conditions to see if it's firm enough for them to head out onto. And it's not yet, obviously. As adults, they depend upon ice to hunt. Unlike brown bears, polar bears are highly specialized carnivores and hunt almost exclusively one animal: seals. The ringed seal looks nervously around, exposed on this open expanse. But without firm enough ice, this bear has little chance to hunt down the seal. It's late October, and by now the ocean should be frozen over. But this year, winter has come late. Parts of the lagoon are covered with ice, but the ocean is yet to be tamed. For now, the bears are trapped on land, unable to hunt. Locals call this area the Polar Bear Campground. It's a nursery of sorts, a safe haven for mothers and young. This time of year, when other polar bears are waiting for sea ice to form, pregnant females are waiting for enough snow to dig their maternity dens. This whole area, in fact, is really important for denning females. When they're pregnant, they come and give birth in the habitat along this coast here, near the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. So many of the females return to this same area to raise their cubs. They seem to have this recognition where the cubs are playing, the females are playing, and one cub is playing with another cub from... It's quite the interesting scenario that's going on.
This guy's making a beeline right for us, actually.
We've only been here a few minutes, and already we've attracted some attention. I'm directly upwind from her, and she's got her nose in the air and she can catch my scent. And she's coming this way. We probably won't have very long before we have to make a hasty retreat. You know, they're the most predatory of the bears, and they're as capable of great speed as grizzly bears are. You know, they can run 35 miles an hour, so... I think it's time to get in the boat. Yeah, she's moving over here with some determination. We need to make a retreat here. Do you want to jump on, Joe? Yeah, it looks like it's getting her really agitated. She can smell us, but she can't access us. She can't figure out if we're a meal or not. And it's how they live their lives. They are curious predators. Everything about them is about surviving the cold and hunting seals. Being a specialist is the key to surviving the Arctic. It's as true for the bears as it is for the Inupiat Eskimos. For centuries, these two hunters of the Arctic have made their living from the ocean. Their lives connected by the animals they hunt. Twice a year, in spring and fall, the Inupiat Eskimos hunt bowhead whales. The discarded remains are left on this bone pile. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. We're out on the outskirts of town, and there's a good spot to wait for bears right here, because the bears seem to like coming out under the cover of darkness. But sometimes it's a case of waiting around a long time for them, so that's what we're doing right now. We'll see if any show up, fingers crossed. This guy is as close as we want to get. The whale meat, with its high fat content, may help some bears get through these tough times when there's little else to eat. If warming trends continue, competition for this small pile of food could get fierce. For a species already on the brink, polar bears will have some tough times ahead. An overnight snow flurry leaves fresh drifts for this young Arctic fox to play in. The icy lagoon is full of activity. The bears use this new platform to practice their light-as-a-feather walk. Sea ice, unlike freshwater ice, is flexible, which gives the bears a lot to experiment with. The fibrous baleen that whales use to filter their food has become the perfect toy for these young cubs. Play attracts attention, and quickly their mum claims the large baleen to strip out what she can from it. With the bone pile nearly exhausted, this mother frantically digs for scraps buried in the snow. But her find soon draws attention from another family. Tensions are high as bears uncover every last bit of whalebone, scraping what meat they can from the bones. A find like this is worth protecting. And this mother bear is not about to give up her meal so easily. This young bear will have to seek out his own meal. Fortunately for him, the weather appears to be getting worse. Temperatures have dipped to a bone-chilling 20 degrees below. Grease ice is starting to cover the water, and winds batter the tiny island. The town is battening down the hatches as the storm sets in. Once ice begins to form, the ocean freezes over in just a few days. Winter has finally taken hold. The town, now in its final days of sunlight, bids farewell to the bears as they head out onto the pack ice to hunt. The sun will vanish below the horizon and not reappear for another 2 months. For now, the world is in darkness. Miles out on the pack ice, polar bears are hunting seals, stalking their prey in the inky blackness of winter. Near the end of January, the sun begins to reappear. It's a time of transition, with more light each day. And by May, in mid-spring, the sun is up 24 hours a day. And it's safe enough for us to venture out onto the pack ice. We're nearly 8 miles out on a thin shelf of ice, searching for polar bears. But I'd be foolish to attempt this alone. Dale Brower grew up on the North Slope.
Maybe we'll get on a high point and look around.
Meaning he grew up in a world completely alien to most of us. These are really fresh because they're actually on top of our sled tracks from about 5 hours ago, maybe even 4 hours ago. So they weren't here then, that's for sure.
He might have heard the snow machine and then kind of snuck back off into these pressure ridges here, and he could just be hiding out in this stuff.
In this featureless white landscape, it's the bears that have the advantage. Problem is, if they're off in the distance or if they're behind the ice, they get easily obscured, even a large animal like a polar bear. Is this a weather front coming in here?
Yeah, that's actually the water sky. That's the water from the open lead reflecting into the sky.
So if you headed to all those clouds, you'd find open water?
Open water, yeah.
Underneath. And there's a good chance that's where the polar bear is that we're tracking here. It's been an exhaustive search, and still the bear remains elusive. Why were you checking which way the wind's blowing?
Just so the entryway is on the opposite end.
Oh, right.
We don't want it facing the wind.
Right. I guess that's really important when it blows at 40 or 50 miles an hour, especially, I think. I can already smell the tea brewing. Our camp is modest, but functional in every way. I'm discovering there's little that Dale does that doesn't relate directly to our own survival. Even the caribou hides seem to be the perfect insulation against the cold.
See how it kind of fits in a little better, like a jigsaw puzzle? Hawaii.
What is that?
That's my polar bear up here.
It's the best fur out there, is it, for keeping the wind out?
Oh yeah, it keeps the wind out, and then it doesn't frost, so it doesn't collect snow and stuff. Interesting. And then it stays pretty clean. Even though if you get it dirty, you can just wipe it in the snow and the hair will just clean itself off. Basically like a polar bear, after it's done with its kill, it'll just rub in the snow, take a snow bath, and it just takes all the dirt off the fur.
Polar bears are stealth hunters. And just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there.
Let's see what we can do without breaking my ankles.
Yeah. Perfect vantage point. Whoa! As I was saying, the perfect vantage point for looking for polar bears. Our camp's right here, and it's easy to forget that it's smack bang right in the middle of polar bear habitat. All the way to the horizon, all I can see is ice. Giant, jagged peaks and troughs of ice as far as you can see. And it is a barren, hostile landscape. And if you can't read the ice here, you're not going to survive. Polar bears are masters at reading the ice, patrolling the edge of a lead, smelling for any trace of a seal. But sneaking up on a seal in open water is a challenge, even for a polar bear. The best chance for a meal is to sniff out a seal's breathing hole, or even a den with seal pups. It's a rare sight, but Dale has observed polar bears hunting.
Like, see if there was a hole here, and the bear will squish it like that. Say if the hole was here, he could smell it, and then he'll close the hole, and then dig this side out where the seal is at. And he'll just scoop the seal out.
It's one of the earliest instinctive behaviors for polar bear cubs. While their mum rests, these cubs will practice what it takes to become the apex predator of the Arctic. Learning to lead with your nose. Investigate anything out of the ordinary. Leap across unstable chunks of ice. And of course, the belly flop. But when mum huffs, the cubs know it's time to continue with the real hunt. Polar bear tracks have led us here. A whaling camp perched at the edge of a lead. A bear was spotted just a day ago, perhaps the very one we're looking for. For the Inupiat, whale hunting is an ancient way of life that continues nearly unchanged today. With 24 hours of light, the rhythm of life is set by the whales, not the sun.
Try that out.
Whale hunting is by far the most dangerous part of their subsistence life.
And these young people are doing it just the way that their ancestors did. These guys are like 20, 22 years old, and they've each got a role.
And its importance to the community is vital.
Yeah, when you become a captain and it's your first whale, you give the whole thing away to all the whaling crews. You just learned over time that what you catch isn't really yours. As a hunter, you're here to feed the town and the families, not really for yourself.
The Inupiat's commitment to this tradition has helped keep this part of the coastline free of oil development. Without their protection, this vital habitat may disappear completely, crocodile off in the background and a blowhole there. Wow. Maybe our wait is over. As the whale approaches, the camp becomes dead silent. As soon as the whale surfaces, the boat is launched. It's a tense moment as the men paddle towards the massive whale, somewhere just under the surface. Harpooning a whale by hand is extremely dangerous. Bowhead whales can weigh 60 tons. One swipe of its enormous tail fluke could easily crush the tiny craft. They've got this incredible system here where they're trying to get the whale out of the water. They've dug 2 holes through the ice that go right through, and they're going to feed this block and tackle, and then they'll be able to haul the whale in.
One, two, three, go!
This bowhead whale will feed several families throughout the season, and perhaps the polar bears as well. It's a cycle of life that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. Other whales will continue their annual migration, following the open leads east to their summer grounds in the Beaufort Sea. But the ice is too thin for us to go any further. It's late May, and the pack ice is slowly retreating. Straight down. It suddenly feels treacherous out here, doesn't it? There are no shortcuts in the Arctic. You have to know when to call it quits. As Dale often says, if you don't come back this season, you can't hunt next season. It's a good lesson, even for a polar bear. But continually having to haul himself onto the ice takes an immense amount of energy. Polar bears face this challenge every spring. But the impacts of a warming world have made matters worse. Loss of pack ice is estimated at 11% per decade. The bear's fragile hunting platform is getting thinner. And this mother and cub have found themselves in an ocean of melting ice. And if warming trends continue, scenes like this will become common. Like many animals that have made such great leaps in their evolution to survive, the world may be changing too fast for polar bears to keep up with. While the endless Arctic sun slowly erodes the ice, it brings renewed life to the tundra. And the season of the grizzly has only just begun. It's the perfect time to head south and into the heart of the Brooks Range. It looks like a perfect valley for grizzly bears, hey?
Well, even if I didn't have caribou on the mind, I'd pick this spot if I was a grizzly.
We're following the trails of great migrations from seasons past. It's absolutely covered with caribou trails, right up the mountains, right over the ridges, one valley to the next. And we're hoping these caribou tracks will point the way to Arctic grizzlies. It may be our best chance at a closer look at this elusive predator. But finding nearly 500,000 caribou in the vastness of the Western Arctic takes patience and persistence. We've picked this spot because there's caribou trails all around, down either valley, each side of the tent here. Not a single caribou yet, and not a single bear, but hopefully when the caribou arrive, which they could in big numbers, then the bears might arrive as well. That's what we're hoping for. We've enlisted the aid of aerial cameraman Daniel Zatz to help document the herd, and hopefully the bears, if we find them.
So based on what Jim from Fish and Game said, he said that the females and calves are running along this line here to the north.
Okay.
And this is also where he expects we'll see the bears.
But it's really unpredictable.
It's completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
Caribou, you never know where they're going to go.
Caribou are the ultimate wanderers. Within a single year, the Western Arctic herd will range across a quarter of Alaska, an area the size of Montana.
Right there, huge herd of caribou. Look at that, all right by the river. Oh, down under the lock right there, look at that. Wow, there must be at least 100, maybe 150 there. Well, I'll follow you count. Okay. Oh, that's a good sign. Our first caribou.
It looks like we're in luck. We've just caught the tail end of a massive herd. Well, we have just settled down in a spot here, so we're trying to stay very quiet and reduce our silhouette on the horizon, because they're just so ever vigilant, you know, for wolves and grizzly bears. That's where the safety in numbers comes from. If you're eating, you're not watching. If you're watching, you're not eating. So if you're in a group, you can do both. Spring is calving season, and some of these newborns are just a few days old. Caribou calves can run within hours of being born. It's a matter of survival. Newly born calves are most vulnerable to predators, and they have to stay close to mum at all times. Wolves are never far behind. This grey wolf is testing the herd, looking for any signs of weakness. He's joined by another from the pack. Together, they've cut the herd in half. But soon, the herd has regrouped, and the wolves give up the chase. There's little rest for the herd until they complete their seasonal migration to their summer range. Caribou are largely sustained by the high-energy sugars found in Arctic lichen. So prized is this plant that many biologists believe the availability of lichen during the winter months can profoundly impact caribou numbers. Without the caribou, this landscape wouldn't look the way it does. They aerate the soils as they're walking to make it more productive for plants. Even their hair provides nesting material for migratory birds around here. And you can imagine how much fertilizer 500,000 caribou create. They're like blood vessels flowing across this giant landscape. Oh, look at that! A mum with 3 cubs. These are spring cubs in their first year of life, foraging along the hillside. Arctic grizzlies must make the most of these short summers, and that includes this mating pair that have somehow found each other in this vast expanse. Grizzlies must cover great distances just to find enough food. An Arctic grizzly in open tundra can have a home range the size of Yellowstone. Once you touch down, keeping up with a grizzly is nearly impossible. For the caribou, their journey is nearly over. The herd has finally made it to their summer range, the completion of their journey. But caribou are wanderers, and they don't stay put for long. With the herd moving on, and only fleeting glimpses of grizzlies, we are left with few choices. An old report of a salmon run has given us some hope.
Well, I mean, I think this is our best bet. It looks like a good spot, doesn't it?
But this far inland, it's a long shot. Even if we find salmon in the river, no one I've spoken with has actually seen Arctic grizzlies fishing. Caribou taunt me, but it's not them I'm looking for. Finding bear sign is the priority here. But if grizzlies are around, it's best to be prepared. I carry a shotgun only as an extreme precaution.
And then, believe it or not, a really popular thing with grizzly bears is this hedysarum root. They love this stuff. I'm surprised this morsel has been left behind, actually. You might look at this place and think it doesn't offer very much. But they piece together a diet, and little bit by little bit, they get by here. Oh, the tracks all through here. Look at this, fresh grizzly bear tracks. And then right in front of it, the caribou track. So both of these species are using this river to get from A to B. And occasionally, if a bear is lucky, they'll be able to prey on a caribou, especially during the calving season. Wow, look at that.
The salmon are running. The question is, where are the bears?
Nearly time for a cup of coffee, I think.
After hours of waiting, there's a shadow moving through the willows.
Oh, Yeah, it's right here. There's a third cub coming up the river.
Okay, I see her.
She's crossing here. I do not want to surprise this bear, though. Arctic grizzlies have a much more aggressive reputation than coastal brown bears. She seems pretty cool. She's seen us. Just finding one would be chance enough.
How far back is the third one?
Right behind the second.
Okay.
The fourth one is way back there in the willows on this side of the creek. But now we're suddenly surrounded by 4. The family seems to be using the river as a corridor. But their food is buried in the tundra. Hedysarum roots are an important source of protein for Arctic grizzlies. The bear's lack of interest in the salmon is puzzling. But these chum salmon don't have nearly the fat and calories as those the bears eat along the coast. Once they leave the saltwater to head upstream, they stop eating. All their energy goes into reaching the spawning ground where they were born. For these fish, that's roughly 400 river miles. After weeks of swimming upstream, they've used a tremendous amount of their reserves to get here. And the once vibrant color has faded from their skin. Males will gather and fight for position as females arrive. Once this courting process starts, it can take hours or even days to complete. The family has returned, but this time they've staked out a spot on the river. Mom is completely focused on fishing. She's landed a huge chum salmon. The whole family retreats into the willows to share the fish. Here in the Arctic, a catch like this is quite a bounty. Mum quickly returns to the river's edge. The cubs will pick this fish clean, while Mum looks for more. Look at those cubs, all lined up, waiting for Mum to catch dinner. She's quickly proving to be a skilled fisher. And by the looks of these cubs, she's been an excellent provider for the first 2.5 years of their lives. It's hard to even imagine them as cubs. They're almost as big as she is at this stage.
The cubs have been watching her closely, and now, instead of feasting off what she's caught, they seem to be interested in learning to fish themselves. These new experiences show off how different each of these cubs are. They're all individuals. This cub has plenty of confidence. He's borderline troublesome.
Close enough. That's close enough. That's close enough.
Close enough. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
He ventures much further than the other two and seems to be quite bold. This boldness concerns his mum quite a bit. But it's also what yields him his first catch.
Very nice. That's great. They're learning. They caught it.
Yeah.
When he catches something, it's his alone. He is already showing his independence. The other two cubs are more plush and cub-like than their brother. One is playful and anxious as he bounds into the water after fish. The other cub is much more cautious, sticking close to Mum. For the first time in the days we've been watching her, she's able to rest comfortably on the shore, while her cubs patrol the shallow river. It's doubtful they know this is their last summer under her care and guidance. At last, her smallest cub is beginning to focus on the salmon. Mom follows close behind, stirring up the fish. She gives up the chase, letting her cub finish the catch. Oh, look at that! It's not uncommon to see a mother get very protective and aggressive while fishing. To me, she seems as intent on preparing these cubs for life on their own as she does with finding food.
Don't forget we're here.
After several days of being watched, her curiosity for us has finally peaked.
Hey, Bear, you are a good mama. Oh, you are so sweet.
Oh, look at her backing up like that.
And we're going to get out of your way.
And that's our cue.
We'll take a cue from this. A good lesson for us to keep in mind is to always leave on a good note. While it may be some time before they come across people again, when they do, we want their memory of us to be a positive one. With a few short huffs, she rounds up her family to call it a day. We really didn't know when we entered this situation if she was going to be accepting of us or not, and she's emerged to be this wise, mature, thoughtful, careful female. It's taken us time to get to know them and to understand that, so that we know what their limits are. And it reminds you that any two bears are as different as any two people you might encounter. And over this journey, it's become clear. The world these bears inhabit is vast, yet it must remain so to sustain such great wanderers. The resources we so prize are embedded in the land that sustains all life here. Like the Great Plains of Africa, Alaska is the last stronghold for some of the Earth's wildest creatures. I've never felt so comfortable or so alive as I do here. This may be the end of my journey, but Alaska's wilderness and its wildest creatures will always call me back.
March 7th, 2009. Night falls early in the Philippines. This is the Agusan Marsh, home to thousands of crocodiles. Nighttime hunters that share the marsh with people. Two young girls are on their way home from school. They have no reason to be scared. There's never been trouble with crocodiles. Until now. Only one girl survives.
Hindi mabuti. Nung unang araw,
we used to see them, but they didn't attack anybody.
hindi kanya
attacking people, that's recent.
Ngayon lang yung nangyari na mayroong inatake.
Something has changed in the Agusan Marsh. A crocodile has gone rogue. And those who've lived to tell the tale say it's an absolute giant. A 6-meter monster, unlike anything ever seen in the swamp before. And they want it caught. And just 5 kilometers from where the girls were attacked, villagers catch a massive crocodile. They hope it's the killer. All night long, they struggle to haul it back to the village. It's alive. It still wants to fight. It's clearly an exceptional animal. But the real question is, have they just caught the largest croc on record? And will that finally bring an end to 2 years of terror? The Agusan Marsh lies on the island of Mindanao in the southern Philippines. It's an almost pristine wetland the size of the city of Chicago. At the southern end lies Lake Mihaba. The enormous network of lakes, rivers, and marshland is an ideal habitat for crocodiles. People live here for the same reason as the crocs. The fishing is good. Some build their houses floating right on the water. Others live in stilt houses dotted around the marsh. In the rainy season, the water level can rise by 4 meters. It seems idyllic, but something strange has happened. For 2 years, this water has brought misery and terror. A massive crocodile stalked the villagers. It ripped their precious water buffalo to shreds before their eyes. Attacked one fisherman and his son. And snatched another man from his boat to eat him alive. But it all started with the attack on the schoolgirls on Lake Mihaba, in the heart of the marsh. It's 6 o'clock, already nightfall. 11-year-old Marina Ruiz and her friend Echel Rodrigo are heading home from school. Fisherman Roy Dagas follows right behind. None of them knows that they're being watched by a crocodile about to start a killing spree. Sitting up front, Rowena never sees it coming. Roy saves Echel from what looks like a monstrous crocodile. But Rowena is decapitated.
Seeing her head in the crocodile's mouth was disgusting. Later on, we found her body covered with banana leaves. It was really smelling bad.
Rowena's dugout canoe still bears the scars of the attack.
This is Rowena's boat, and these are the bite marks left by the crocodile. Here, here, and here.
What kind of monster can bite through solid wood? The culprit is a saltwater crocodile, or salty. They're the largest of all living crocodilians, typically reaching 4 to 5.5 meters. Salties prefer freshwater, but can live in the sea because they're able to excrete salt through special glands. They've spread thousands of kilometers across the ocean to colonize lands from India to Australia. Salties have been hunted to the brink of extinction in much of Southeast Asia for their fashionable and highly sought-after hides. They also have the strongest bite of any animal. The Agusan Marsh is one of the last strongholds of salties in the Philippines. Since 1994, the crocodiles here are fully protected. Killing one could land you 12 years in prison. The tables have turned. Now the people are being hunted. Roy Dagas is badly shaken by the attack.
I was afraid that Rowena's parents would blame me for her death and kill me, since I was the one who picked her up.
With a rogue crocodile in their midst, no one feels safe. But they have nowhere else to go. 70% of the people here make their living by fishing.
We wouldn't get any work in town because my husband is a fisherman. So we have to stay here in the Agusan Marsh. We have no choice but to stay here.
The people who live in the marsh are mostly an ethnic minority known as the Manobo. They live a mostly traditional lifestyle in one of the poorest areas of the Philippines, completely dependent on the marsh for their livelihood. After years of peaceful coexistence, people here suddenly live in fear of crocodiles.
We stay inside most of the time because we are scared. We only go outside when Roy is around.
We used to see them, but they didn't attack anybody. Attacking people, that's recent.
Because the crocodiles are strictly protected, the villagers can't hunt the croc down until the government issues a permit. Meanwhile, children go to school, and the men still have to go out fishing to feed their families. Roy's brother, Reynaldo Dagas, is fishing with his son at their favorite spot in the marsh, right in the beast's lair. Fishing from the low-sided canoe, they're sitting ducks when the monster croc attacks. The pair fights back.
I hit it on the side of its head with my paddle. Then it bit the side of the boat. It was very close.
They bolt to the bank for safety. Reynaldo cheats death, one of the few who live to tell the tale.
I thank the Lord for saving me that night, or I would have been dead meat.
Just downriver from Lake Mihaba lies the village of San Marcos, population 1,075. The village has no electricity or running water. It's the main base for the Manobo, including people who live in floating houses and retreat here in the rainy season. Rudy Ayala is the chieftain of this area.
Ang pinakadako nga hulga sa buaya.
The biggest threat to crocodiles here is the growing number of people moving into the crocodiles' territory, competing with them for food and space.
Competition for fish in the lake could be causing the big croc to seek out new food. In San Marcos, it's found a ready supply. The people throw their garbage, including animal carcasses, in the water. The crocodile has been spotted in the river that runs through the village. Rudy lays down the law. The advice is simple. Don't lure the crocodile into the village with easy meals. It seems to work. There are no further attacks near San Marcos. Instead, the crocodile sets off in a different direction. It's been spotted 5 kilometers south of Lake Mihaba, and it's about to kill again. Nueva Era is a remote village set back from the marsh. The small stream that flows through it is the sole source of water for 1,300 residents. A 15-meter wooden bridge is the only safe crossing, especially now that the croc is in their creek. It's a long way from home, having swum through a network of rivers and creeks to reach the village from Lake Mihaba. Local farmer Daniel Oxtero has already worked a full day on the land. After dinner, he has to go out fishing, working a double shift to feed a wife and 7 children. he doesn't go far. Fishing near the bridge, he's within earshot of his younger sister. Daisy's house overlooks the creek.
Kahit gabi na po ay nagmisda pa rin ang.
Even though it was dangerous to be on the creek at night, Daniel had to go fishing so he could buy rice the next day and feed his family.
Without knowing it, Daisy hears her brother's final moments.
The night that Daniel disappeared, at about 9 p.m.
ng gabi.
It was dead quiet in the village. I felt like I was the only one awake. Then the dogs started to bark angrily.
Mga tahol ng aso, parang galit na galit ang mga aso.
And then I heard splashes in the water. Very loud splashes.
Malapit sa ilog namin na napakalakas na palo. Papunta na ako.
I was terrified, so I went to bed.
Natakot. At kinaumagahan,
the next morning, one of our relatives came to tell me that Daniel had gone missing.
Daniel na hindi nakauwi.
Despite repeated attempts to find his body, all that was ever found of Daniel was his boat and his hat.
This picture is the only memory we have of Daniel, because just before he was killed, his house burned down and everything he owned was destroyed.
Kani ang balay ni Daniel, nagamay paghuat madako.
This was